Running a Facebook and Instagram ad can be simple. Running a Facebook and Instagram ad that actually works, not so simple. Maybe you've experienced this yourself or have been too intimidated to even try. In this episode, we are uncovering my favorite Facebook ad targeting strategies for 2023. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Grind and Grow Marketing Show. I am your host, Brad Ball. Today we are talking about Facebook ad targeting strategies for 2023. So let's jump into this. When we are talking about Facebook ads, we are also talking about Instagram ads. So if you didn't know that, they are one and the same. So when you run an Instagram ad, you actually go to Facebook Ad Manager. So when we think Facebook, we're thinking Facebook and Instagram. So I just wanted to put that out there. So in today's episode, we're really focusing on the targeting for your ads. So in your ads, what targeting is basically you're telling where you want the ad to be shown. And where this is set is at the ad set level. So without getting in too much detail, you have your campaign level, your ad set level, and your ads. So your ads sit inside of an ad set, and your ad set sits inside of a campaign. There's settings for each different level, and the targeting is in the ad set level. So this is where you would go to make those changes and updates. Okay, so let's talk about some targeting options. So what do we mean when we're thinking targeting? So one thing is location. So what country, the state, a zip code, radius, people that live in this area, people traveling to an area, people interested in an area, right? So that would be location. You have your age and your gender and languages. You have more detailed targeting like interest, or you can narrow it by an audience. So you can also exclude an audience. So an audience would be typically an audience you created. So maybe the people that have interacted with you on Facebook or Instagram, or people that have visited a certain web page, or a lookalike audience. So anyway, so that is basically your audiences. And that brings us into the custom audiences, which could also be like list of people that you've like uploaded. So you could download a list of all of your customers and upload them into Facebook, and then create a lookalike audience. So Facebook will know this is, these are the people that are typically likely to buy from you. And now they're going to run ads that are to people that are similar in the same, ways. You can also set up a custom audience for website traffic. So anyone who's visited the website, maybe a certain page, things like that. So also people who have interacted with your social profiles, Instagram or Facebook. So if they've liked or shared or commented or clicked on, they've interacted, maybe they watched a certain length of a video, these types of things. That is a custom audience. Okay, so one rule of thumb in your audience when you're selecting your audience or targeting your audience is you want to stay broad, typically, right? So this is always worth testing, but in general, you want to stay broad. It used to be you wanted to get really niche and really detailed, but now it's better to stay broad. So if you're going with a national or international campaign, a broad would mean like a very lowest would be like 250K or 1,000, right? 250,000 people. And the high would be 5% of the country's total Facebook users. So, we're talking millions. And US, I think it would be around like a 12 million range. So that would be on a high, right? So, you want to kind of stay in that sweet spot of, in the millions, and that's going to keep you pretty broad. If you are a local business, most likely millions may not make sense, right? So if you're advertising in just a typical city, you may not have 1 million people in that city. So typically, if your audience is less than 250K, then just leave it open. It's going to help. It's going to find who it needs to be. Now, if you need to select because your product or service is just for women or just for men, then that would make sense. But I wouldn't get niche down and start getting interest and all that stuff. So keep it broad. Okay, so some targeting strategies to get started with. So one I like is layering purchase behaviors. So let's say we have a main group of people that we're advertising to. or running the ad to. So what we can do is we can layer this engaged shoppers in Facebook. So we can actually go in and find this audience of engaged shoppers. And basically we would be running a conversion ad, and we're going to target our broad interest. So we're going to have like our million people, millions of people, and then we're going to narrow it down with the engaged shopper. So we're kind of layering these audiences. So really it's just two, your broad audience, and then you're going to narrow it down to engaged shoppers. And if you just search for engaged shoppers, it will find that. And that is the engaged shoppers audience are people who have clicked on a shop now call to action in the past week. So that is a really good audience. Another one is a life event targeting. So depending on what you're offering or selling, this could make sense. So someone who has recently moved, anniversaries, someone who's just in a relationship, maybe a new job, or birthdays. So things like this, you can target, life events. So that's another good targeting option for your ads. And then another one would be retargeting with custom audiences. So let me explain this one. There's a couple ways to do this. So number one, if someone comes to your website and they visit a certain page, then you can create that audience like we talked before. Now you can run an ad specifically to them, driving them back to take a certain action. Another thing you could do is, let's say you just run a $5 a day engagement ad on a video that relates to your service or product. And you create an audience of anyone who has engaged or maybe watched a certain point of this video. Now you can retarget that audience with an ad, and that's a custom audience. So now you're retargeting them. And if they've watched maybe 50% of your video, then obviously they are interested. Or if they've interacted with it, then there's a good chance they're a warmer audience and they've interacted with it. Another popular audience that people try to target is small business owners. And one of the best ways to do this is with targeting Facebook page admins. So it almost always is the case for small businesses that the owner or the person making the decisions a lot of times is the one who would create their Facebook page or have a Facebook business page. So you can target people who are the page admins, and that would be these people. And you can also break it down into what type of business page they've created. It could do health, travel, community, sports, food, and that's just to name a few. So it breaks them down to different types of Facebook page. So anyway, one other point I'd like to make before we wrap this up is you want to be sure to be testing your audiences. Don't just pick one and roll with it. Like pick one or two, separate those out into different ad sets and test them, because you never know exactly which one is going to work the best. Anyway, that wraps us up for today. I'm your host, Brad Ball. We'll see you in the next episode.